Hello and welcome to the show. Now, we have seen how well a classic American muscle car does when it comes to the rally car builds, but we haven't seen how a classic Australian muscle car has fared. Well, thankfully, in the latest DLC, we have got such a car, the Ford Falcon XR GT. And I am hoping that we could see some good things from this vehicle. It is likely to have plenty of power, perhaps not weigh quite as much as the likes of the Lamborghini and the Tesla, and seeing as both of those cars actually handled quite well, maybe this will be able to challenge at the top. Of course, the first thing we are going to do, make the car all-wheel drive, as is the rules of this series. Now, we will come back to the engines. Again, another rule, cars must run their standard engines if they can get to the top of S1 class. I am not sure about the standard engine in this car. I'm slightly skeptical that it's going to be able to make it to the top of S1 class, but we will have to wait and see. We will get the off-road tyres and, of course, make them as big as possible. That does jump us up into A class. However, as we've seen time and time again with these vehicles, it's a very, very big jump from the top of A class to the top of S1 class, which is why we're getting such crazy power figures out of this. Lot of roll cage in there. I say crazy power figures. It's not crazy power figures in every single vehicle. You know, the likes of the BAC Mono, the Lotus 340R didn't have very much in the way of power, but yeah. We have got all of those bits installed. They're surprisingly... yeah, surprisingly low sort of PI for all of that handling stuff, I guess, in the car. This is, I guess we would have to have the aspiration swapped. We'd have to go for twin turbos. Let's have a look. And again, seeing as the Forza Horizon 3 menus are so lovely and fast to navigate through, it is really quick and easy just to dump all of these parts on a vehicle. So much nicer than when you're working with previous Forza games. This sort of basket system is incredible. Let's have a look. It's going to be close. It is quite close to working, but it isn't going to be enough. Decent power and torque out of the standard engine, but not enough to get it to the top of S1 class. So we are going to have to swap the engine. Now, the big conundrum is, what on earth do we go for? We can actually fit all of these in the car. So we can have 6.2 litre V8. We can have the 8.4 litre V10 and the 6.5 litre V12. Ooh, the choices. What do we go for? Now, the V8 is the lightest engine. I mean, all of these engines here will surpass 1,000 horsepower. The 6.2 litre V8 is the lightest engine of the lot of them. The 6.5 litre V12 is the heaviest. Only a fraction difference between those two. So seeing as I've built cars with both of those engines before, I think we're going to go for the 6.2 and have a try with that. Now, aspirations. We can go, of course, twin turbo. We can go for a supercharger. You know what? Let's go for a supercharger today. I don't think I've had a supercharged car in this series, so that is what we are going to be using. Now, let's go and jump these parts on. The supercharger a little bit heavier than the twin turbos, although I'm hoping if we now go for the top... okay, sometimes the top one here does lose some weight. Sometimes it doesn't. In this instance, it is a few pounds heavier, but it is up to 707 horsepower, 707 torque as well. So it is, yeah, quite an impressively powerful engine we have got going on here. It's not going to have the same power numbers as the Lamborghini. That's not surprising. However, it is a much, much lighter car. It doesn't quite have the power numbers of the Plymouth either. Again, I think this might be a tad lighter. And it could handle better than the Cuda. So, there we have our vehicle. It's, yeah, quite an impressive power-to-weight ratio going on in the car. Will it be enough, though, to challenge some of the incredibly fast cars that have gone through the rally course? Of course, to test out the Falcon, we have come to the Reservoir Trail. I will get 3 runs through the course to set a time as fast as possible, Our current leader sits on a time of 2:31.2, which was a mighty quick time for the Lamborghini. I think we might struggle to best it with the Ford. I shall do my very best. Now, I did have to go and quickly adjust the gear ratios because they were completely and utterly rubbish in this car. In fact, I've made them a fair bit longer. They are still relatively short. We're going to spend more of our time in probably third and fourth gear with this car rather than second and third, as long as we are in the power band and, you know, we're not bouncing off the limiter. It doesn't really matter which particular gear number we are in. Did end up running a smidge wide. We can be flat out, though, by the looks of it, through that first turn. Now, the Falcon so far is driving quite nicely. I've got no real major complaints with the car. I think something to take into consideration is that we have only a little bit more power than we got out of the Talbot, and that was considerably lighter. You know, we're talking 700 pounds lighter. Now, the hope is that the Falcon will be a lot more stable, and it does certainly feel good through those turns. It's quite easily taken flat out. It is a big soar through the air with the Ford. As we now get changed direction, we got to lose the back end a little bit, running out wide. It is recoverable though, so we now jump into the water. Again, not jumping particularly far. I'm not sure we are that slow across that section. Felt pretty decent, but yeah, we certainly did not get the airtime that I would expect from the car. We are getting the airtime up here though, as we now have to fight and get the car slowed down. Now, coming up is perhaps the big test for any vehicle, the nasty bumps down towards the final couple of turns. Will the Ford be able to carry a lot of speed across them, or is it going to get thrown about no end? That is the big question, really. I am hoping that we can carry speed. We're going to need to make up speed somewhere, and I'm hoping that it might be through this section. So far, feels pretty good. We haven't had any massive issues on the landing. We're still getting caught a little bit on there. And again, we're going to fly. We're going to land it very close to that tree, but we are able to get away with it. Now, he did have a bit of a brush on the wall early on. Hasn't quite been the most perfect of runs, and we're actually going to not quite get turned around that final corner. Ooh. That was a quick first run. That was a quick first run indeed. 2:33.2 for a scruffy final corner and bouncing off the wall early on. There is some potential in this car. So it is on to the second run with the Ford. I was not quite expecting that lap time, I'll be honest, out of the stage time out of the car. But then, well, I have certainly been surprised by vehicles in the past. So what could we possibly do? What sort of speed could we get out of the Ford? Definitely flat out around that turn one. Got to make sure, and it's the braking zone sort of across the bridge is actually quite a nasty one. It's not quite as tight a corner as we have up here, but it is still a very, very nasty turn to get the car stopped for. So that's somewhere to watch out, although we did make it work all this time around. I'm very, very wide. Now we can recover it around there, but it is a less than ideal line. I guess the time with this car is obviously being made up. I said I hoped that this vehicle would be more stable, and certainly I've got a lot more confidence. We are absolutely flat out. I didn't have a lift at any point around that section. I had a little lift on the way down through the watery corner there, just to make sure everything was all pointing in the right direction. But yeah, there is a lot of confidence in this car that you can really throw it through the corners, and that wasn't something that you got with the Talbot whatsoever. You did with the Lamborghini to an extent with the LM002. That could just carry a huge amount of corner speed. Now, this power to weight ratio wise is probably a bit better, I would think, than the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini was massively, massively heavy, even though it had about 1,200 horsepower in that car. So this might have a little bit better power to weight ratio than that. I've just got to try and maintain this corner speed as best we can. I think the Falcon is doing a really good job around here. Get it turned in to the watery corner. I have not quite got the line right through there. I will I will be honest, turned in a little bit too soon, but was still trying to stick out wide to avoid the water, and that was just a mess, basically, through that section now. Try and avoid the worst of the bumps down here. Get the car sorted for the next part. Yeah, this is pretty good, actually, across these jumps. Surprisingly, in some ways, not the most surprising car that it's good across the bumps, but it is flying lovely and controlled through that section. Now, make sure we get the car slowed down for that final turn. Run to the line! Oh, we have, I believe, a new leader. It's going to be very close. It is! We have a new leader at the top of the table. The first car to get under the 231s. The Ford 230.9. Oh, that's quick. That's quick indeed. I wasn't quite expecting it to go fastest. This series is throwing up all sorts of odds and ends here and there. I think I might actually have enough XP to level up. Shall we? We're on a high, having just broken the record down here. Shall we go for a wheel spin and see if we can get something exciting? Come on, game. You can do it. Oh, you're not going to give me a wheel spin here, are you? I've got to go back to the main bloody menu to do it. Well, that sucks. So, once more, we have a new leader. But can the Ford go even faster? Certainly, there were a couple of corners on that last run where I was out perhaps a little bit wide, but the rest of the run was really very, very fast. So I suspect we're going to struggle to find a huge amount more time, but I am going to give it as good a shot as I can. This has proved to be a mighty impressive showing from the Falcon. It doesn't quite have the ludicrous power-to-weight ratio or simply the ludicrous levels of power of some of the other cars that have gone. But what it does have is the control. It gives you the confidence to really attack the course with this car and carry a lot of speed through these slightly rough, slightly bumpy corners. It's certainly got excellent stability across these bumps, perhaps some of the best that we have seen. I can just carry, I'm flat out through there. I have a little bit of a lift ready for the landing, get the car turned in again. We are back to being flat out, the teensiest bit of oversteer across the next corner. There's just the confidence to really push this car around the course. It is mighty, mighty impressive in the Ford. I really very much like it. Okay, up towards the river we go. We are punching through the water quite nicely. Again, that was 110, 111 miles an hour, so it is at the speed limit of what cars can do through water in Horizon 3. Now, we're going to jump here. Oh, ever so slightly twisted, although we do end up... We land quite wide on the way into that corner, but that's good for getting a good run through the turn. Now, as we launch it into the air, we're heading up towards the water corner. Now, this is where I did run a tad wide last time out. I don't think... I mean, that was... Yeah. We got a little bit caught, actually, going into the water there, which is slightly less than ideal. Now, another place that we do make up, I think, a lot of our time is down here. We have just got the confidence to carry the speed. The car is well enough behaved across these bumps that I can be flat out. I was flat out the whole way down there as we get stopped into the penultimate corner. One last turn for the Ford. I don't think we're going quicker though this time out. It may... No, it's not going to be quicker on that that final run. I couldn't find any time. I think I might have overdriven it in a couple of corners, perhaps. However, I mean, that's still a 2:31.5 on that run. The second run will put the car fastest of all through this course. It is 0.3 of a second faster than the Lamborghini LM002. It's not the largest shift in record-breaking time that we have seen. However, it is still an incredible showing from the Falcon. We have an Australian car at the top of the leaderboard, which certainly pleases me. Good to see this up at the top. The Tesla's fallen down to third. The Hemi Cuda is now out of the top 3 spots. Times are getting quick down this course. Yeah, that is not quite the result I was necessarily expecting. I'm very glad to see the Falcon at the top, but I was not quite expecting it to go fastest of all. But yeah, there we go. Now I am going to head back to kind of the main menu, and hopefully we can now have a go at this wheel spin, and we can get. Normally I don't bother recording wheel spins anymore. I've given up kind of commentating. I'll just cut them out because I know I'm not going to get anything interesting, and I haven't got anything interesting for ages now. So now that I've gone to all of this effort to film this one, I really hope that something interesting happens. Having got a record down this course, there is a potential to win a Corvette Z06 Horizon Edition. Could we win the Corvette? We have! It was worth it! Haha! Today is a very, very good day indeed! We've won a Horizon. It was really worth it. It was I cannot believe that. We have got a Horizon Edition car, and we have a new record holder on the rally course. Indeed, today is a very, very good day. However, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.